Hello and welcome to a new lecture, and this lecture we're going to study about the rise of English language. So the English language itself really took off with the invasion of Britain during the 5th century. So though the British Isles lost the erstwhile dominant position it had, but by its presence in all parts of the world during the colonial period and colonial days, it left its language all the places it was ruling. Now, however, the supremacy of British in the world politics began to see a downfall with the end of you can say World War II, and when the United States of America became the new West world. All right, so there whatever countries Britain colonized, it left the traces of English language, and that's how English evolved in the different parts of the world. Now, British were forced to leave these colonial countries because every country wanted independence at that point of time. Though Britishers left, but the British supremacy and of English language didn't leave these countries. Now, but their language did not become extinct in those colonized spaces of different nature. Made certain adjustment with the English. And however, the supremacy of British continued in different parts of the world. For example, the British left India in 1947. But the English language was left behind, which was adjusted, it was moderated, it was, you can say, modified, assimilated into the Indian context, to which gave to a rise of a new kind of English. But English as a language still was a very important, adjointed language in India, and different from the Queen's English. That Queen's English is the British English that are still being spoken in Britain. Now, English may not be a mother tongue for almost all Indians, but it is actually the second national official language and it is a very prestigious language that we use in India in various contexts, like for the bureaucratic work for the higher academic works. Okay, for legal works, we always use English as a medium of communication. Thus, in all colonized countries, English language took a different shape, and today we have many English existing side by side in India. Okay, with the British English. So the English language itself took place of in the invasion of the 5th century, that I already told, that with the invasion of 5th century, okay, when the Anglo-Saxon and Jutes that came from Germany, they invaded Britain in 15th century, and then the beginning of English as a language began. So the shift from the Middle English to early modern English happened due to numerous cultural, political, and economic factors. One of them was the invention of the printing press. So when the industrialization occurred, when the inventing press was invented, at that time there was a very proliferation of books in the market, and that led to an increase in the reading public, which gave rise to English as a language. Now there were nearly 6,900 living language in the world. For almost all of them, the most popular language that exists throughout the world is English. Now, the modern English sometimes described as the first global lingua franca, because it is a language for trade. Most of the people, when you trade with other countries whose first language is not English, we use lingua franca, and that lingua franca is the English only. And it is a dominant international language in science, business, aviation, communication, mass media, and diplomacy. Now, English is mostly also in other countries or in other parts of the world. You can see English, which has been spoken as a first language, like you can say the Britain, America, Canada, all these places where English has been a first language of communication. Now, it is estimated that English is currently the language most often caught as the second language around the world. So most of the countries like France, Germany, all Spain, these have some first language as their native language, but there also the second language is English. So English is taken to be the most often taught. A second language is most vast parts of the world. The geographical spread of English is unique among the languages of the world throughout the history. Now, countries which use English as either the first language or the second language are located in the 5 top continents, okay, and which makes the 49% of the world's population. So you can say that English is an official language of the United Nations and many other international organizations. Even if in India we look that if we want to communicate to the people from South, we speak or we take English as a medium of communication. So English is undoubtedly a very popular language in India as well, and it is believed that English is the most widely Published language, because most of the books are published in English because we are more acquainted with English as compared to other languages. And the availability of books, magazines and newspaper written in English in many countries around the world is a good proof that English is the most popular language which you can find throughout the world. Okay, so now printing press came in during that time, and it led to the proliferation of books. So William Caxton established his printing press at Westminster Abbey in 1456. So 1476, and this was significant because people started using a common language in print, and that was English. So that made English and undoubtedly a popular language at that point in time as well. As a result, English grammar and spelling become more standardized. Whatever languages, whatever spelling, whatever grammar has been used that time, at that point only these languages were well established. Okay, so the rise of English language has caused an ebb and flow in the milieu of different regions of the earth. Now it has become a global and world language. So the statement given below will justify how it had led to both positive and negative impact far and wide. Now English is often considered as a killer language. Why it is a killer language? Because it is a language linguistic imperialism. Okay, it is known as a killer language because it is a language of linguistic imperialism. So what colonialism, what imperial power British used to exercise on us, that was a language of them. So that's why it is in somewhat way it was considered to be a killer language. To be more general, a language of cultural imperialism. Okay, so the colonial power must have left the erstwhile